I'd like to have a moment of silence for the victims of the Southern California fires. It's a horrible tragedy. It impacted so many lives without consideration of race, ethnicity, religion, social standing, political affiliation, or wealth. Let us take this moment of silence to consider how fragile life is and the importance of coming together to support their recovery. Thank you. Will the student board representatives lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight? Please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, there's a report out of closed session upon motion of Trustee Andrade Zuniga and seconded by Trustee Jacobson. The board moved to approve the stipulated expulsion case 2425-8 with a vote of 4-0. The votes were as follows. Trustee Chavez, yes. Trustee Jacobson, yes. Trustee Andrade Zuniga, yes. Trustee Land, absent. And Trustee Griffin, yes. Okay, we're going to move on to item J, adopt the agenda. The Board of Trustees may either adopt the agenda as presented or make a change to the agenda through a motion and second and majority vote. The Brown Act prohibits any additions to the agenda without a 72-hour public notice, and that's for regularly scheduled meetings. Are there any questions or comments from the Board of Trustees or Superintendent with respect to the agenda?
If there's no questions, I'll move to approve tonight's agenda.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay. You guys just moved past all the space in my script. I'll call for, actually, are there any comments on that? Or do we end online or in person?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Student board members?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0, unanimous. Item K, public comments. If you are joining us in person and wish to make a comment about an agenda item or during the public comment section at the beginning of the agenda, please fill out a request to address the board form and submit it to the secretary. This form should be given to the secretary before the agenda item begins. If you are joining us virtually, use the raised hand feature on Zoom to be recognized. When invited to do so, your camera must be on before you are called upon to make a public comment. We will call on you to begin your comment once you have been promoted. We have promoted you into the meeting. If your camera is not operational, please email your comments to the Board of Trustees at board@smuhsd.org. Please note that comments are limited to 3 minutes. The board president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public comment, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. I will call on in-person comments first. Mr. Mike Swire. Yes, sir. Welcome.
Great. Well, thank you to the. It doesn't sound like it's on. Oh,
Yeah.
That's better. Sorry. Thank you. My name is Mike Swire, San Mateo resident. I want to thank the board for their service to the kids in the school district. I'm the parent of 2 recent Bearcat alums, and I feel lucky that our kids were able to go to school in such a special place. So thank you for your service. I currently serve on the City of San Mateo Safe Routes to School Steering Committee. I chair the CCAG Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee and also serve on the SMCTA Community Advisory Committee, although I'm speaking on my own behalf. While those positions are largely not that important, they do make me feel important. More importantly, however, they've alerted me to the need for emergency action in making the streets safe for kids who want to walk or bike to school. Unfortunately, those in charge of the safety of our streets in San Mateo are on the verge of making a catastrophic decision that could cost lives of kids attending San Mateo High, College Park Elementary, and other neighboring schools. I'm sending each of you a letter later today that I would like you to sign on to individually. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem that we have enough time for a formal board resolution, as the city is rushing to implement this decision with minimal input from the school community. I'm not sure if you're even aware of this issue, which I haven't mentioned yet. The issue concerns the recently installed bike lanes on Humboldt on the other side of this block, right back there. On February 3rd, the San Mateo City Council will decide to whether or not to remove the 2-year-old bike lanes in order to install additional free on-street parking. I am asking for your help in making sure that this does not happen. We do so much to protect our kids in the classroom, yet I would guess that far more kids across this country have died on the way to school each year. North Central has the most dangerous streets in the city of San Mateo by statistics. Humboldt is one of the most dangerous streets in the city. Last year, the second year that the bike lanes have been in place, we actually saw a 36% decrease in crashes in the area, perhaps in part due to the bike lanes. I can't know for sure. Nevertheless, we have an epidemic of traffic violence on the street. A 13-year-old girl was hit in the crosswalk on Delaware right in front of this building, I believe about 2 years ago. I don't think it was a serious injury, but it certainly could have. In the late last year, a single mother of a disabled child was killed in the crosswalk on Peninsula, about 2 or 3 blocks from here. Study after study shows that lower income people of color are disproportionately impacted by traffic violence, as a large number of them can't afford a car, and this is the only way for them to safely get to school. They might also not have the flexibility because they're working multiple jobs to drop their kids off like others. That's all I wrote, so I'm going to ad lib. Basically, one of the proposals that they're making is instead of the separated bike lanes, which have the bikes separate from the cars, they want them to be together. They want 6, 7, 8-year-old kids to be riding in the street, what they call a bike boulevard, which is basically BS. Nobody in the community, the Safe Streets community, believes it's a realistic solution, but that's one of the ways that they think they can reestablish parking. So we're asking you to oppose that. I'll send you a letter, and I hope that you can turn out for the meeting on February 3rd. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Are there any online comments?
President Griffin, we have 4 online comments.
Okay.
We'll begin with Elon. I apologize for the speaking of the last name. Fetchwan, I'll bring you in now. Tech support, please.
Hi there. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a parent in the district, and I'm just voicing my concern about the professional development session that was set up for the 27th, and the seemingly incessant attempt to capture the curriculum to teach hatred and divisiveness instead of unity and tolerance for everybody. Humanizing one group cannot be at the cost of dehumanizing another, and constantly trying to bring in Hamas propaganda as if it's somebody's identity. All roads seemingly lead to demonizing Israel and Jews and denying Jewish history. That is not what the curriculum should consist of. Politics don't belong in the classroom. We shouldn't be brainwashing teachers. We shouldn't be brainwashing kids with hate either. We should all be learning to coexist as Americans and embracing one another and tolerance, not teaching hatred, not raising the next generation of jihadists to have perpetual war, which is what we have in the Middle East, and respect for everybody. That's the end of my comment. And I would like transparency going forward. There's professional political propagandists who seem to have the sole aim of interjecting their ideology and hate agenda into no matter what the curriculum is. There needs to be transparency and scrutiny to avoid this. And again, ethnic studies is supposed to be talking about the American experience. It's funny, there's probably 100 conflicts in the world that don't get pulled in and bootstrapped into the agenda to give one-sided, hate politics. But this one seemingly doesn't matter what we're talking about. There's certain people who want to interject it every step of the way. And I find it abhorrent and it has to stop.
Thank you.
Candace Thomas?
Hello, my name is Candace Thomas. I'm feeling a bit under the weather, just FYI. But I wanted to talk about how, my parents used to tell me if you don't stand, if you stand for nothing, you fall for anything. And I feel like over and over again, this district tends to fall for everything. And that we can have an equity mission and an equity vision, but if we don't actually follow it when it's time to stand up, to stand 10 toes down, to not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. And the moment that the rubber hits the road, it is more convenient for you to just fall over, to say nothing, to choose division, to choose hate. That's not okay. And we need to protect our teachers. We need to protect our administrators. And external groups should not be allowed to dictate which students matter and which students don't. Because in this district, all students matter. They all matter. And talking about one group of students, discussing one group of students, does not mean that another group is going undiscussed or unheard. And it's absolutely despicable how this district is failing to protect its teachers. Um, it has removed a session that was pre-approved back in the fall at an internal professional development session that now you're expecting someone from our district to explain themselves and to be harassed by these external groups. And Superintendent Booker, and I'm calling you out because you're the boss, you're at the top. You should be ashamed of yourself. And you know who I'm talking about. You owe her an apology. You owe her an apology because this is absolutely despicable. The way this district has treated her, the way y'all have allowed people to talk about this woman and her family and not actually stand up and actually walk the walk behind the equity mission and vision. I would actually prefer it if y'all just had the equity mission and vision and just didn't talk about it. But instead, I feel like sometimes as a Black teacher in this district, I'm being gaslit over and over again. You're telling me one thing and you're doing another. And all I'm asking for is some consistency and for y'all to stand up and appreciate the women in this district. And I'm saying women because most of the teachers and administrators are women in this district who are trying to speak up for marginalized voices and our marginalized students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Simona T.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the time. Actually, I'm appalled by what I just heard that Candace Owen, or sorry, Candace, whoever that teacher was, said. What external groups is she talking about? Is she talking about Jewish parents that are concerned for the safety of our children in this district? Is she talking about Jewish kids that are terrified from all the hatred? The Israeli kids in the district, they get bullied, and they are indeed a marginalized community. Jews are 0.2% of world's population. So what exactly is Candace talking about? And as a parent, as a Jew, I found it appalling that the district actually didn't even notice what was supposed to be in the teacher development day. It's ridiculous. Thankfully, we, so-called external group, parents, fought for it and made sure that some of the information is not going to be part of it. There's still a lot of sessions on that day that are appalling. The district needs to show transparency, what the hell is going on, because the teachers need to stop being indoctrinated. The showman session, I don't know if she by the previous teacher said you owe somebody an apology. I don't know if she was talking about showman who was part of the session. The session is pure hate. It's, you can see absolute agenda is to dehumanize Jews and Israelis. Do we not exist? Are we not people equal to anybody else in this community? This community is becoming extremely divisive with all of these sessions that the district, sadly, it sometimes turns a blind eye to. That needs to stop. Teacher development is not about hating on people. It's about uniting this community. We're in Bay Area. We're not in the Middle East. Everybody should be equal. Everybody should be celebrated. And it's not at the expense of another community, another marginalized, keyword, marginalized community. Jews, 0.2% of world's population. Appalled of what I just heard. So I hope the district, again, brings transparency. We need to know exactly what the teachers are being told. Stop the indoctrination of the teachers and of our kids. Enough is enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have the one more by the name of Ravid.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Thank you. I'm also a parent in the district, and I wanted to ask, why are our tax dollars being used to fund hateful propaganda and one-sided political indoctrination to the teachers on a professional day? I'm talking about the session that was canceled only after parents complained and find out about it, without any scrutiny from the district. With yet again, Dr. Shulman's hateful and one-sided political propaganda being shoved down our throats and includes a one-sided narrative that demonizes Israel and Jews. Why do we as parents have to find out about this without any district scrutiny? There's no other political conflict that's being brought into a teacher's professional day. It's against California educational guidelines to one-sided train your teachers, especially about complex international issues. This type of indoctrination has direct negative implications on our students' educational experience and can create a hostile environment for Jewish and Israeli students, which we are already seeing. Sadly, this is occurring over and over again in our educational institutions. This session pretends to be about humanizing one side, but it's really about dehumanizing, dividing, and sowing hatred. There are also two other scheduled speakers who raise serious concerns. Carlos Hogedron, who, like Samaya Shoman, advocates for infusing ethnic studies with anti-Israel, anti-Semitic, and anti-US ideologies, as detailed very clearly in his article on Convergence magazines, which contains the same repugnant, hateful, and one-sided narrative as the session that was pulled. Also, Alison Gamlin, who has publicly shared her anti-Semitic sentiments on social media. Are there no other professionals to teach our teachers how to have better reading, a better math? Is this really what we need to concentrate on in this district? I object to the inclusion of anti-Semitic hate and propaganda in ethnic studies and teacher training, and I feel betrayed by the districts for allowing it to take place over and over again. What we would like is a transparent explanation of the process of selecting the content that is taught to the teachers, and a commitment to thoroughly scrutinize future training session and ethnic studies. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
President Griffin, I have two more hands raised.
Okay.
Next one will be concerned citizen. Concerned citizen, you may turn your camera on now. Concerned citizen, please turn your camera on to begin your comment. We must have your camera on. Concerned citizen, please begin your comment. That is all online. The other hand went down.
Thank you. Okay. Governing board comments. I'll start with the student board representatives.
Hello, we have multiple updates from around the district, beginning with Mills and Burlingame high schools have been recognized for their sustainability innovations in the People and Planet Challenge alongside in the proposal category. In addition, Burlingame and San Mateo High School have begun a school-wide donation drive to support displaced and struggling families who've been affected by the wildfires down in the Los Angeles area. In addition to Cappuccino holding a card-making activity to extend thanks to the firefighters who are devoting their lives towards protecting our citizens. Some upcoming plays and musicals by the San Mateo Union High School District are the Jazz CMEA Festival held at February 1st at Mills, Mamma Mia at Mills from March 21st through 23rd, the San Mateo High School Winter Play, Noises Off, January 30th through February 2nd, and the Winter Play, February 28th and March 1st. Yes.
At our previous student board council meeting just yesterday, we discussed the history and importance of school boards. And considering this month is School Board Recognition Month, it was quite necessary that we do so as a student board. We also learned about the recent news and board agenda items that would be discussed today, including the multilingual learner presentation from last board meeting and the upcoming financial aid workshops. A couple items for tonight will include the Bridge Academy school site location, the Measure L construction update, and the consent calendar is the National Black History Month proclamation. And we would like to read a summary of the proclamation now.
Originating in 1926, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the distinguished Black author, editor, publisher, and historian, established Black History Month, where each year during the month of February, the citizens of the United States celebrate Black History Month and the actions, words, achievements of so many Black Americans who have contributed to the success and prosperity of the United States and recognize their ongoing struggle for equality. In spite of the African slave trade that solidified the institution of white supremacy in this nation, and in more recent history, in spite of governments, including San Mateo County, partaking in redlining with restrictive covenants, barring Black Indigenous people of color from accessing or owning and residing within homes until 1968, Africans and African Americans have nonetheless continue to persevere and move forward in society, fighting for their freedom and also for the freedom of all Americans over time.
Black history is American history, and understanding and appreciating the experiences of Black individuals is crucial to understanding the full story of our country. The Black students who enrich our schools and communities share a unique experience in our classrooms, can feel estranged, targeted, and othered among their peers as a result of being only 0.72% of the total student population. The SMUHSD Board of Trustees approved racial equity policy BP 0415, which states the following. The Board of Trustees seeks to ensure that policies and practices produce equitable outcomes for students who identify as Black, Indigenous, people of color. The district's mission, vision, and goals recognize that educational excellence for all students requires a commitment to racial equity.
And these achievements should not be recognized without considering the many sacrifices of Black individuals who continue to sacrifice because we do not live in a post-racism society and oppressive institutions still exist as a result of the past colonization, exploitation, destruction, and pain of Black individuals. And the San Mateo Union High School District, SMUHSD, seeks to support and empower students of all races and backgrounds. We know that while we have made progress, there is more that must be done to ensure equality for Black students and educators. Thank you.
Thank you. Governing board comments? Would someone like to make a comment? Trustee
Thank you.
Chavez.
Thank you, President Griffin. I saw you looking at me. I'm going to make this brief tonight. I want to thank our student reps. Our student board reps are awesome. They're amazing. I know they have a lot of good coaches out there, but they are amazing. You guys are both amazing. We're just so blessed. I wanted to thank you for summarizing and reading most of that proclamation because it's really important. And let's remember this Monday when it's a lot of us have the holiday off and it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day this coming Monday. So let's reflect on our proclamation and everything that goes into that. That's important. I also want to thank Trustee Griffin for the moment of silence because my heart and prayers go out to everybody affected in Los Angeles. So much destruction. I heard them saying that this may be the most catastrophic thank you. Natural disaster in California's history. So we'll find out more about that. I know so many people, we have lost lives, people have lost their homes, all their possessions, schools burned. There's just so much destruction and seeing the news, it's very devastating. And yeah, my heart goes out to everybody and my prayers. And I just want to thank Trustee Griffin for the moment of silence. One other thing I wanted to share was this past Saturday, San Mateo County School Board Association, we held a meeting and it was and we had all the new trustees. All the trustees were invited from the county of San Mateo. We also invited the new trustees. We have several new trustees in our county and that's exciting. And it was just a great meeting to get to know other trustees and also review some best practices. And I just want to give a quick shout out because I'm not sure if they're going to give themselves a shout out. So I want to give a quick shout out to Superintendent Booker and Trustee Andrade Zuniga. They both gave part of a presentation there. There were a lot of questions and answers, a lot of questions, and they definitely did a great job of answering those questions from a lot of the new trustees that were there. So there were other speakers as well. But of course, I want to give a shout out to my team members right here. You did an excellent job. And that's my update for right now. And I hope you guys speak to what happened last Saturday. I just definitely wanted to give you a shout out. So thank you for letting me share.
Does anyone else have a board comment?
Go ahead.
Trustee Jacobson.
Yes, I just wanted to acknowledge and thank the Hillsdale community for their fundraising efforts to support our ETA program and the Peace Pantry and Community Closet that will be funded for another year. Thank you.
Trustee Andrade Zuniga.
Yes, thank you. Excuse me. I wanted to start with the land acknowledgement. This was written by some students a few years ago. It kind of goes along the lines of what was read today with this proclamation. Our community acknowledges that all of our campuses lie on the ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone. The Ramaytush are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula, whose land was stolen from them and whose native language was lost because of Spanish colonization. As settlers on stolen land of the peninsula, we should be alongside the Ramaytush, remembering and honoring their ancestors and relatives. We thank our first people, the Ramaytush Ohlone, for taking care of the land we use now for education and activities. Our responsibility of caring for the earth is unique and personal to each of us, but should be rooted in allyship with the Ramaytush Ohlone, so we can work together to protect and preserve the land for future generations. Thank you, Trustee Chavez, for that shout out. Yes, this past Saturday, Our San Mateo County School Board Association had provided a new board member orientation to all of our new board members, talking about process and things that they should know, certain types of etiquette, different trainings they should take, and just lots of advice. And Superintendent Booker and I did a presentation on board and superintendent relationships and how important it is for us to have good relationships and constructive relationships to be able to push the districts forward. Because without those relationships, it interrupts all of the work that we'd like to do. So that was really important. We also attended the Mill Brain Movers and Shakers dinner last night, and that was an honor to be invited to that. Shout out to Mills High School. Our principal, Pam Dazinski, was there. Mills High School received a monetary award for just being an excellent school. So that was really neat. I went and spoke with the folks at Empowerment Through Action. And yes, just like Trustee Jacobson said, thank you to the community for supporting that program. They do so many things for our students and their families and our school community. So it's very important for folks to volunteer because people are hungry and they need assistance all year round. Lastly, along with what some of the comments had said tonight, this has been really weighing on my heart for the past few days. I'm actually really disappointed with some of the things that I heard. I am really disappointed in people jeopardizing the safety of our educators in our district. There are a couple of people that were named tonight, and that is dangerous. Already, one particular educator has been threatened, has been verbally abused and harassed. People have attacked her family. That is unacceptable. I don't care what your opinion is or what you think. If it means you coming and threatening our staff, they are here to provide education, accurate and truthful, honest education to our students. And that is what they are doing. We are supposed to serve every single student in this district, which means having staff that reflects our students' body, having training that reflects our student body, having curricula that reflects our student body, and having administrators that reflect our student body, because that all goes into how safe, heard, and seen our students feel, and that affects education and their learning. I also wanted to say how disappointed I am with these mass emails from folks all over the country that are not part of our school communities, that are pretty much bullying the process and the system that we have in how we educate our teachers and our staff. I think that along with, aside from this type of, it is divisiveness, it would have been important to have a conversation, to have a dialogue on what this all means and how we are constructing these trainings and, you know, how it's making people feel, etc. But a conversation would have been better. We hold our students of this district to a high standard of hearing each other and of talking with each other without violence, without attacking. That is not what we're showing by this type of behavior. There are other comments that have been said that are completely inaccurate. This had nothing to do with ethnic studies. And so please, before you speak on something, please make sure you have the accurate information. Because again, that also creates a lot of divisiveness and problems. I really appreciate the proclamation that our students have read. And you know, to that, Dr. King said that injustice anywhere is an injustice to everything, really. So if we are oppressing or not listening or disregarding one group or one person, then we're doing that to everything. It's debunking everything that we're saying when it comes to being inclusive and being here for all of our students. So if we really want to reflect on Dr. King and his legacy this Monday, we're not only going to not just volunteer on that day, because people always need help, but we're also going to think about how we're addressing these concerns that we have and how we're supporting each other and our students and what we're teaching them. So with that said, I just want to leave you with one last thing. Alexis Terrazas was the editor-in-chief for El Tecolote newspaper. He's no longer the editor-in-chief there, but he said, "May we never stay silent in the face of injustice. May we never lose our humanity." And that's where we have to come from our humanity. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, I've got, I guess my comment was opening the meeting, but a couple of things here. Who wrote the proclamation? I think, did you write the?
Yes, we've contributed to it in addition to building off the previous
I mean, I wanted to, and the reason I'm saying, I just wanted to recognize, because it was well written and well thought out, and I didn't know if it was a single person. We didn't attribute it to whoever actually wrote it, but it was well done. So good job. Thank you. You know, and we've talked about Dr. King Jr. and, you know, what he's done for this country. And I think that the day has become a day of community service. And I ask each one of us to think how we're making our community a better place to live in.
Mm-hmm.
So, including myself. So, and finally, to get us back into reality, last meeting, everybody was upset at how I divvied up our board comments and responses, and I apologize profusely. Not the first time, not the last time. I asked for input from everybody, didn't get any input. What we're gonna try to do, you get one question and one follow-up question. We move on. If we have time, we'll go for a second round. So, I mean, that's the best I can do.
Thank you.
You know, and I try to be fair to everybody in trying to get that, but I guarantee you, you know, it doesn't always work out that way. So anyway, let's move on. Are there any communications to the board of trustees?
Not this evening.
Okay. Recognitions, or any recognitions?
Not this evening.
Okay, we're moving on to the consent agenda. Do any of the trustees wish to pull an item from consent for discussion?
Yes, President Griffin. I would like to pull item number 32 from the consent agenda for discussion. Approval of the specific board policies and administrative regulations, September 2024 updates.
Okay. Is there a motion on the balance of the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the balance, which is 1 through 31.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and we'll take and vote on that item and then move on to to item 32. All in favor of the consent agenda as items 1 through 31? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Student board?
Aye.
Okay. So that the consent agenda passes. And now we'll take item 32.
Yes, there are several recommended updates that CSBA has recommended for our board policies. I would just like to hold back on board policy 6142.92 on mathematics instruction, number 6152.1 on placement in math courses and the associated administrative regulation. The reason is because there is some language in there, some philosophical language that I think we as a board should discuss before we approve this. And also it discusses aligning with the new California state framework, which I don't feel comfortable approving until we learn more about it. And so ideally, I would like to have a board study session on the math framework and how it does or does not align with our district's current math instruction and pathways. And that would be my first choice. My second choice would be to have it agendized on a future agenda to discuss and vote on, and just not vote on it tonight.
Can you recap? I was pulling the memo up, which I know Matt, the placement was a concern. What were the other concerns?
Math instruction, it's just mathematics instruction. So I would like to have a discussion about that as a board before we vote on it to approve this board policy and AR. And I don't think that people are prepared to do so tonight. So I'm asking that we do it at a future date, either at a study session or at a public board meeting, so that we can discuss it and have the public have the opportunity to learn. I've been on the board for about 2 years, and we've never had a very in-depth discussion or philosophical discussion about our math programs here. And with the new state framework, I think it is a good time to do so. And I wouldn't want to vote on it without Trustee Land here either.
Does anyone else?
I would like to know staff's take on all of this and what I guess the change of the what approving this would do to the way that they're teaching. If we can bring that back to.
Yeah, if I may, I think this is a good idea in the
Yeah.
sense that I know the board in the past has we've presented like on Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, how students are progressing. We've had conversations about, for instance, how Hillsdale, I think it was Hillsdale, switched their progression. We've had conversations about this CASP testing and the dashboard and our math results. So, tying all of that information, having an overview of our math pathways, math progression, and what does the new framework look like? I think that's something that would be welcomed from our point of view in presenting to the board, whether that's in a study session or at just a regularly agendized meeting, either on. So we just need time to develop that. So not at next meeting, but maybe sometime in February or March, most likely March, to prepare for that.
Trustee Chavez.
And then, so if that's done in somewhere later, like say March, for example, is there a certain cadence or the timeline for this approval? Like when is that actually necessary?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how we agendize these two policies and the corresponding AR. We could agendize it for that same meeting. We could agendize it the next meeting. I don't think these are, I'm looking at Dr. Kemke, I don't think these are crazy time sensitive right now for us. No. So a delay isn't going to change anything about our current instructional practices or curriculum or pathways.
Okay.
So I think what Trustee Jacobson is bringing forward is in line with what we've already been talking about, and to just bring it more formally to the table for further discussion with, hopefully with some site educators participating as well, I think would be
Mhm.
warranted.
Yeah, I would definitely want to hear from the educators.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Mhm.
There, these are all good comments. And, I guess what you're saying, the carve out of everything that's left is going to come back separately. I mean, 'cause I don't, because there's other stuff, there's the, student accountability,
Mhm.
there's the,
If I could make a motion to approve the other board policies withholding these, would that be acceptable
You,
to the board?
Ah.
Is that?
that's what I was trying to
I'm
understand.
sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Well, I didn't
Mhm.
phrase it right.
Yeah, you can, or any trustee can make a motion to approve all the policies listed on this particular agenda,
Except for the-
sans 6142.92, 6152.1, and AR 6152.1.
That was what I would see. When
Thank
I
you.
asked the initial question, that was where I was trying to
Sorry.
follow,
Mhm.
which were,
Mhm,
Oh.
mhm.
And then do you make a motion to table the other ones that you're pulling? Then you make a motion to table those for another board meeting, because we're just not gonna vote on that.
I don't think you need to make a motion to
Okay.
table the others. I think if
You just
you're,
omit it.
Right.
Yeah.
As long
The
as you
vote.
still admit that one, yeah.
So I will go ahead and make a motion to approve all specific board policies and ARs on the agenda with the omission of board policy 6142.92, 6152.1, and AR 6152.1. Is
So-
there a second?
that's okay.
Second? I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Student board?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we'll adopt the appropriate policies, and we're looking forward to that discussion on the alignment, the placement, the assessment of math. So
sounds good to me.
regular reports. Report of the superintendent.
Thank you very much. All right, so this evening, excuse me, I have a few things to report on. Just to call out that earlier on this month, on January 9th, our country observed a National Day of Mourning for the late President James Earl Carter Jr. President Carter was the 39th President of the United States, inaugurated in 1977, and he was the first president. Actually, this is going to date myself, but he's the first president I remember, like as a kid. And I didn't understand his politics back then as a kid. I just remember, his picture being in one of my classrooms as a little kid. And President Carter, from what I understand and what I've read, is a man of character and courage and compassion, whose lifetime of service defined him as one of the most influential statesmen in our history. President Carter was a heroic champion of global peace and human rights, and an honorable leader whose moral clarity and hopeful vision lifted our nation and changed our world. I also want to call out, as others have already tonight, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, January 20th coming up. It's not just a day off, as we've been mentioning, and it's not just a day to reflect on Dr. King's contributions to civil rights, but it's also a call to action for all of us. And as we celebrate his legacy in 2025, it is a time to engage in community service projects that embody his values of equality, justice, and compassion. And as we engage in service, it's vital to reflect on the progress made in civil rights since Dr. King's time, as well as the challenges that certainly remain. Encouraging discussions and activities around these themes really help our students understand the ongoing struggle for equality and motivate them to contribute to a positive change in their own lives, and more specifically in their communities. Additionally, we've got Lunar New Year, January 29th through February 12th, the year of the snake. And in 2025, the Lunar New Year will be celebrated on January 29th, marking the beginning of the year of the snake. The festivities typically last for 15 days, culminating in the Lantern Festival on February 12th. While the official dates encompassing the holiday vary by culture, those celebrating consider it a time of the year to reunite with immediate and extended family. Many of our schools and students participate in celebrations related to the Lunar New Year, both as part of longstanding traditions with their schools and in the community. Also, we have National School Counseling Week, February 3rd through 7th, and our district wishes to recognize and highlight our comprehensive school counseling programs' tremendous impact in supporting students' emotional learning, academic success, and planning for their education and/or career once they graduate. On a personal note, I helped move my son into college today, and there is no way he would have gotten to where he is without Amanda Carlson, his school counselor in high school. I know she's not watching, but big shout out to Amanda Carlson because she saved us. In SMUHSD, there are 29 school site counselors with 8 comprehensive school counseling programs, 6 comp sites, Peninsula and Middle College. Comprehensive school counseling programs in our district focus on positive ways to enhance students' academic, career, and social emotional development. So thank you to our school counselors. We are enormously, tremendously grateful for everything you do. And then lastly, because this didn't get any fanfare, but when you passed the consent agenda, on that agenda was School Board Recognition Month proclamation to honor the 4 of you and Trustee Land and our student board reps. And I'll just read a little summary. This month, I'm pleased to honor our Board of Trustees with a proclamation to celebrate January as School Board Recognition Month. I have the privilege tonight of summarizing the proclamation for our board and members of the public. The SMUHSD Board of Trustees are committed to students, believe that all students can be successful learners, and that the best education is tailored to the individual needs of the child. And SMUHSD Board of Trustees continue to advocate to best serve the teens in our community each and every day. And our local Board of Trustees continues to act to ensure students' academic, social, emotional, physical, and mental health needs so that they're met and they can become their best selves. Our Board of Trustees embodies our district's equity vision, which states that all students will learn in safe, inclusive, and equitable environments. And it goes on. Excuse me. Our Board of Trustees supports our 10 schools, our 6 cities, and our 1 district, and upholds our goal that every student graduates and every student thrives. On a personal note, I have worked with many school board members over my close to 30 years in education. We don't always agree, which is awesome. I think it's healthy. But I respect every single one of you, and it's a privilege to work alongside of you. I know we share the same goals for student success, and it keeps us all working hard and focused on what's important. So I just want to honor and praise each of you. Thank you for all the work and effort. I know it's super high paying, and the benefits are immense. And all those kinds of things. But all joking aside, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. You mean you don't remember Harry S. Truman?
I don't. I'm sure. I'm not going to.
I'm sure I'm the
not gonna
only
age
guy.
you.
I'm sure I'm the only guy in the room that remembers Truman.
Nope.
Okay, we're going to move on to the report of the District Teachers Association representative, Ms. Lauderdale.
Flesh.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking down.
I know, you're used to the Zoom. Good evening, President Griffin, Board of Trustees, student board members, and district leaders. I'm really proud to work in this district and to represent an incredible group of educators. I feel so lucky that I get to do something that I love every day. My job is truly, truly magic. But I come to you tonight profoundly disappointed, angry, and sad. I deeply believe that the intention of our district leadership, school leadership, and board is to support our teachers so we can best support our students. The humanizing pedagogy framework is a good example of this intention playing out. Unfortunately, when things like what happened this week occur, the impact of your actions or inactions does not match those intentions. As our nation and community shift to a new administration, we need to know that our leaders have our backs. that you will support us as we try to create safe and loving environments for all of our students. We have an incoming president that is weaponizing disaster relief to LA County, claiming that California won't get aid unless we change our quote, woke agenda. We have other Senate leaders saying that we deserve the pain and loss of the fires because we traditionally vote blue as a state. We are not immune to this type of hateful weaponization of federal support and dollars just because we are in the Bay, as evidenced by the misinformed and offensive people getting in the way of doing our jobs and supporting all of our students. When so much is unknown, we, as our association leaders and our district leaders, need to work together to make sure our educators feel supported. It is our job as association leaders to enforce a collective bargaining agreement, which requires a safe and working learning environment. It is your job to create the conditions for a safe working and learning environment. We cannot feel safe enough to be brave and have the courage to stand up to hate when it feels like no one has our backs. What happens when hate groups come after our undocumented students and their families? What happens when anti-LGBTQIA+ and anti-trans groups try to take away the rights of our students? What happens when the federal government takes away funding because we continue to teach the accurate history of slavery and white supremacy culture in our country? Will you all have the courage to stand beside us in the fight to support our students? Or will you hide and pander to external groups like you have through the genocide in Palestine? I and our association leadership are here to work in partnership with you, but only you have the power and tools to lead the support of our teachers and students. I hope that your impact starts to match your intentions of your actions, policies, and practices. I'll always remind you, our working conditions are our students' learning conditions. Our educators need to be empowered to have the courage to create safe learning environments for all of our students. And you have the ability to empower us through your internal messaging and actions within our community. We cannot be empowered to do our best unless we know that we have your support and you have our backs. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Report of the Chapter 519 CSEA rep. No report tonight.
No.
Report of the Adult School Teachers Association.
Lynette Garcia, I'm promoting her now.
Okay.
She may not see the invitation to accept it. There she is. Whenever you're ready, Lynette.
Sorry, it looks like my camera is not working. I do apologize. I do actually have a face. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Thank you. And you're right. I did not see the invitation for panelists. I had you guys smaller because I was working. Hello, everybody. My name is Lynette Garcia. I am the Career Education Coordinator and the Union VP for the San Mateo Adult and Career Education Campus. Thank you very much, Board President Griffin, VP Terry Chavez, board members, and Superintendent Booker for the opportunity to speak. You'll probably see a lot of me. We, the CFT Union and staff of San Mateo Adult and Career Education Campus, are here to share updates from our campus. We literally just got back to school this week, so we don't really have a lot to report, but I have a lot to share. First and foremost, happy Merry New Year's. That just is inclusive, and I hope that everybody had at least a nice winter break. We did have some great shares. One is from an instructor, and one is from a student about the first week back. This is from my instructor. I had mixed feelings this morning before school. I was excited, but a little nervous, a little anxious as well. However, once the day started, it went very smoothly. Many of the students attended today. We had a very full house, and they were more than ready. After the introductions, we went through the welcome letter. They got into their Google Classrooms, the Remind app. We discussed the units we will be studying this semester, the L Civic units, and we managed to start a lesson and fit in a speaking activity. Thanks to the supportive leadership of our administration, coordinators, and the other office staff, the Teacher in Service Week was well organized with informative presentations and trainings, as well as enough time to get ready for the semester. An additional thanks to the teachers who shared their thoughts, ideas, and strategies with us. New teachers at SMUHSD. Furthermore, thanks for the assistance I received in my classroom. For the leadership team for checking in on us today. It is this kind of collective support teachers need to go about having a smooth semester. That is from Huda Sabine. She is our ESL Low Intermediate instructor. Student Quinn on, I'll just stop there, had shared, she was so excited. She came running up to me. It was so cute. I can say that because I'm 63 and she's a lot younger. But anyway, I digress. She was so excited. She comes running up to me. She was one of my students. And she said, "Oh my God, I'm so excited." I was smiling and I was happy. And I think people thought I was crazy to be driving to SMUHSD, San Mateo Adult School. She shared her desires to continue to support the adult school because she's testing out as a volunteer, a student ambassador, and next as a student council member. You will likely see her. Okay. I also want to show recognition to our student ambassadors' recent achievements and activities. Special shout out to Virginia Eva Aninia for receiving the COAB Students as Leaders Mini Grant. COAB is a coalition on adult basic education, and she has been invited to attend the second annual Students as Leadership Summit as a part of the 2025 COAB National Conference in Dallas, Texas. She'll be representing us, of course. Claudia Hernandez, who has been representing SMUHSD parents at the DLAC meetings. Lucia Portilla, Mary Huinsun, and An Quinn for attending the Humboldt Street Bike Lane Post-Installation Review Community Meeting in December. And to Quinn, on again, she recently graduated from the San Mateo County Civic 101 Academy in October 2024. If any of you have ever attended a city academy or a county academy, it's definitely worth it. Okay, it really shows you how government works at the local level. You will look to see her in future meetings. Our theme at SMUHSD for this year is gratitude. And we want to show our appreciation to the school board members. We would like to express our sincere gratitude for your unwavering support of the San Mateo Adult and Career Education Campus, your recognition of the vital role we play as educators within our adult community, your willingness to hear our concerns and address them effectively, and for creating a safe and inclusive space for our students to actively participate in school board meetings. Several of the students that I mentioned previously, they were participants in our school board meetings last year. As you might remember, we brought some of our students. Truly a civic moment. I truly believe that that experience assisted them in taking on a greater role within the community. That's why they attended community meetings regarding the bike lanes. That was brought up earlier. They attended the Civic 101 of the county. It gave them confidence. And for that, for creating such a safe space, I sincerely thank you. And on a final note, thank you for your vote to approve our recent union agreement. We appreciate all that you do. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to special reports and appearances. Spotlight on learning, first semester highlights, Superintendent Booker.
Thank you very much. This evening, as we've done in the last couple of years, I've relied heavily on all of our district leadership and site leadership to help us kind of pull together what we call our first semester highlights. We set ambitious goals across this district And we want to spend a little bit of time celebrating, acknowledging, highlighting all the accomplishments that we've experienced during this first semester. We do the same kind of presentation in May or June for the whole year, especially or specifically the second semester. But tonight, I'm going to go through a slide deck very quickly. There's no way I'm going to read everything on the screen, and there's certainly no way I'm going to read all of the acknowledgments on the board memo. So before I begin, I want to thank Laura Chalkley and Sayer and Dulce and her whole team for helping putting all of this together. Amazing work. And I want to thank all of our educators across the district for their tremendous efforts in supporting our students, our families, our colleagues, one another, and our community. Certainly a 10-6-1 moment here. So if we could start the slide deck, I'm going to go quickly through each of the components, but I really highly, as they're starting it, I highly encourage the board and our community to take a look at the slide deck as it's attached to the agenda, as well as the board memo. The board memo goes much more in depth, has many more accomplishments than we're going to even come close to highlighting here. Just so proud of everyone. All right, so curriculum instruction, we have an extreme focus on dual enrollment and how our students are continuing to expand their opportunities for dual enrollment and their success there. Our work in artificial intelligence and the professional development that's needed, and we will continue to need to work through our career expo that we held and the work that we're doing on building out our instructional framework. So curriculum instruction has its handful. We'll be adding a math study session or something like that when we come back in the spring. We will have already done that, and there's a lot more C&I work over the next several months, which is exciting. A lot of work around our equity board policy and administrative regulations. Our student equity councils continue to be strong and informative. The work that has gone on with our Black Educator Affinity Group, we received that grant last year and really rolling it out this year through the California Anti-Bias Grant. And then on top of that, our Equity Advisory Committee work. So this isn't just a couple of people championing this work across the district. It's pervasive in so many of the things that we do here. And while I'm really proud of this work, we also recognize we have a lot more to do. Jumping into the school sites, Aragon High School, the first 90 days, this was a massive listening session by Dr. Mike Jones, listening and learning about his campus and his community so that they can develop some strategic plans and tactics moving forward. But I appreciated the time that he gave to all of that. Having the AIDS Memorial Quilt on public display, amazing for our students and our community, and the Trade MC3 program under CTE Engineering Technology, one of a kind in San Mateo County, and we're really happy that it appeared here at Aragon High School. Bridge Academy, and we'll be hopefully recognizing Bridge tonight and approving their new school site location. But their work on the Equity Council, their attendees at College of San Mateo's Back to School Bash, helping them better understand opportunities beyond Bridge Academy, I think is just so important. And the new and after school learning center that they're working through, and the development of the graduate profile, which I think is so important. And I just want to speak to that for a second. You know, when a school develops a graduate profile and works with students and highlights that profile to students, it's a message that I think the educators at Bridge are sending. Not only do we want you to graduate, but here's a picture of what we see you as a graduate. It's a real tangible form of believing in students. We believe that you can be here. I've said this in the past. Teaching is the single greatest act of hope. I really believe that. I remember as a teacher, you'd get these, and for those of you who know me, you know I use this language. because I used to teach ninth graders, you used to get these in the fall, like in August, like these, 32 ding dong ninth graders in your class. And they just are. They're bouncing all over. I was when I was 14. They're just bouncing all over the walls. But why a teacher is so amazing is because they look at all those students and they have hope and they have plans for how they're going to mold those students into what they're going to become. And I love the graduate profile because it's a tangible depiction of that hope. This is what we want you to become. This is what we're going to help you achieve. And I'm really proud that Bridge is doing that. Burlingame High School, the Italian exchange program, and how many students we hosted, and how students visited Italy in 2024. The student-produced musical, annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, directed and produced by 2 seniors, which is amazing. And the Outstanding Instructor of the Year, BHS teacher Anna Liu, honored with that award at the Construction Industry Education Foundation's Create Competition and Industry Lunch. Just really, really fantastic. And then our choir from Burlingame High invited to sing the national anthem in November with the Golden State Warriors. Cappuccino High School, the Summer Bridge Program. Please don't confuse that with Bridge Academy. This is something that Principal Gomez does with his team in getting the 8th graders to become 9th graders, bringing them in, over 40 of them during the summer, and helping them transition to high school with 14 peer tutors, 6 teachers, and a counselor. They've been doing a lot of work on eradicating hate speech on their campus, working with their staff, developing protocols for dehumanizing language. And I'm appreciative of Principal Gomez and the work they're doing there. The California All-State Ensembles, 2 of our students were selected for the 2025 California All-State Ensemble. I mean, this is amongst thousands of students from all over California, so just really, really fantastic honor for them. Hillsdale High School, some of us have already talked about this tonight, but the Empowerment Through Action program, the Peace Pantry, just amazing programs. One of the things I'm working with Principal Gilbert on is really looking at how is ETA and the work and the investment and the resources that ETA has, how is that moving the needle with student learning, and really trying to make that tangible for the community. The board will be looking to bring that back in the spring. It's one thing to say we have it, and it's another thing to show some data around the impact it's having with our students and families, and it is having impact. The ELAC, the English Language Advisory Committee, we're seeing an increase in attendance, which is really fantastic. It's one of the things we've been talking about as a governance team, is how do we continue to increase our engagement with the community. And it's something we want to continue to work on. And dual enrollment, they're offering 10 dual enrollment sections, increasing the number of the first generation students enrolled. We definitely want to see that. So big thanks to Hillsdale. Middle College up at CSM, a tremendous amount of professional development, and some history teachers attending the National Council for Social Studies, San Jose State University field trips, the clubs that they're holding, more than 18 clubs. And to say, middle college enrollment continues to break records every year the last 3 years. So it is our biggest alternative program. I don't think sometimes people realize that, and it is absolutely blossoming. Mills High School, the Mills High School architecture students, they're recently recognized with Best Presentation for their Millbrae Asian Heritage Museum project. They held an inclusive language assembly, United Against Hate. They have 33 students who will be first in their family to attend college, and they went on a field trip to San Jose State. I think it's Spartans, go Spartans, as part of the dual enrollment college and career class at Mills. And they held the Dragon Team, the Mills Dragon Team, and the Latino Mentor Program performed at the Millbrae Mid-Autumn Festival. And I think that the Dragon Team, from what we heard last night, they'll be performing at the Lunar New Year celebration in Millbrae as well. Peninsula High School, another alternative program we have here in the district. They're preparing for their WASC accreditation visit. Their community and literacy in action to support our multilingual learner students. That was the program that I was trying to think of earlier today that I forgot the name. That's the program that's supporting literacy with our students. Dual enrollment, 22 seniors taking classes through Skyline College, and a number of support groups across the campus to continue to bring kids in and to help them feel connected, not only to the school, but to their community. San Mateo Adult and Career Education, and the New Citizen Celebration on July 11th. I know that feels like a long time ago, but it's a huge celebration that they have every year in the summer. And they had 32 students who recently became naturalized citizens. Celebrating them. Jen Jacobson was there. Lihi Andrade Zuniga was there. So just thanks to the board for showing their support. The Domestic Violence Awareness, in partnership with Cora, they hosted the Abuse is Not Okay presentation series. Just as a reminder for the community, San Mateo Adult and Career Education, they serve over 4,000 students across our community. That is a tremendous impact, just a tremendous impact. And continuing to work with Angela Taylor, who's their leader, to see how we can continue to expand adult ed. It's absolutely needed. And their job fair that they hold every year, just amazing. 20 Bay Area companies supporting. San Mateo High School, their professional development for educators, 5 science teachers were awarded a Leveraging Innovation by Growing and Honoring Teachers grant. And they're engaged in science-specific professional development from Stanford. 2 full days of PD. Really amazing. Their College and Career Access Pathways Dual Enrollment Grant, that's about $100,000. And the school they were awarded, and they were planning to build out its dual enrollment pathways. And the board will be hearing a lot more about that. I forget which date we're coming to the board to talk to CTE. It's at the end of our meeting on future board agenda items, but we'll be talking more about that grant and the impact there. The Multilingual Learner Club, each Thursday, 20 or so students, and they're receiving targeted tutoring and after-school support led by Adriel Espinoza, and Alfonso Duenas. So really appreciative there. District Governance and Operations, that's us. Our Welcome Back event for educators. We had more than 40 educators on stage, along with students and parents and city leaders representing our 1061. I know that also feels like a lifetime ago, but that was an amazing event and really felt like just such a connection with our community. Our Student Board Council and our Student Board members, big thanks to them. I got to say hi to them yesterday during their meeting. That was kind of fun. I interrupted their really invigorating video on the history of school boards. Wow, that is get your popcorn out. I know, it's a good one. But I don't know, is Joe Huddleston still here? He's left. But big thanks to Joe and to Shar for supporting our Student Board Council. My hope, and I'll just put this out there publicly, CSEA, big CSEA School Boards Conference is in Sacramento next year, December, and I would love for our Student Board Council to give a presentation. So we'll be talking about that. We have had our November 4th Let's Talk event. We bring in over 50 community members, including 18 of our Student Board Council members, really to listen to all of you. I mean, that's how it was set up, as a fishbowl that we asked questions and got to hear directly from our students. Super powerful. I'm looking forward to doing that again. And as I just mentioned, we all went to the CSBA conference to learn about, what it is to lead schools. And we sat in on sessions, whether it was Title IX or Math Pathways, CTE, multilingual learners, all of this. And I appreciate the board's commitment to doing that. Communications, our website launched with Final Site, so we updated our website. We have a new district logo, social media engagement, our trans created content. I think that's one of the pieces that I'm most proud in continued outreach to our families and meeting the needs of multilingual families. We're continuing to grow that and working with DLAC. We conducted a needs assessment just to make sure that what we're creating is helpful and accurate. So big thanks to communications. Student health and wellness, our automated external defibrillators, the health office visits, the hearing and vision screenings, Collaboration with our transportation department, that's a big one, to integrate medical history into real-time support for drivers. Oftentimes, we can have emergencies while on the bus, and that I just want to thank our student health and wellness team, our transportation team for all of that, and our nurse trainings. 21 staff members were trained on G-tube feeding administration. I think a lot of the public doesn't really know, what it takes to support some of our really high need students, whether it's G-tube feeding or anaphylactic emergency response, seizure response, all of that. And I'm so proud of our educators for the support they give to students. Continued with employee health and wellness, first aid training, and infectious illness case management. We're planning for a massive classified wellness fair that's going to be coming up in January. Big thanks to Dr. Black and his team. I got to preview the sessions and all that today. The board will get that in their weekly tomorrow. It's amazing. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be really good. I invite the board to participate too once you get the information tomorrow. Health screenings and vaccines, flu shots and biometric screenings. And this is just all for our educators too, to support them. The healthier they are, the more they stay on campus and teaching our kids. So we want to keep everyone healthy. Our human resources department, massive. Our newly hired teacher support programs that we have in place, our teacher induction program. Thank you to Sabby for all of that work. 20 teachers in year 1 of induction, 8 teachers in year 2, 4 teachers pursuing clear education specialist credential, 24 pursuing a single subject clear credential, and 2 at Design Tech High School. Just a ton of work there to ensure that constant influx of teachers, and it's a great way for retention. And then the permanent status ceremony that we had here this year. And yes, Trustee Griffin, I will have cake next year. I heard everyone loud and clear on that. We will have sheet cake next year, but we celebrated more than 80 certificated and classified educators, which is just amazing. The heart and soul of our district, and who achieved permanent status this year. And I'm so glad we do that ceremony because it is a big deal. Instructional coaching and evaluation, 31 employees provided support through instructional coaching and or mentoring. That's not cheap. It's a huge investment and it's absolutely needed. Professional coaching is one of our biggest retention strategies we have. And I'm grateful for the work that all those coaches do, support over 135 certificated employees. Classified Professional Development Day, I already talked about that a little bit, but that was back on October 14th. And our volunteer process, and we're trying to expedite that and get more volunteers and to make sure everyone is safe. Multilingual learner programs. We did a board study session on this, but professional learning, external providers, MLP coordinator, school counselors, designated ELD community and literacy in action, newcomer student intake and family engagement, all the new programs that we implemented this year because we are recognizing that multilingual learner students need so much additional support in their families, and we're responding to that. So thank you to that department. The clubs, the new multilingual learner clubs have been established. We already talked about Hillsdale High School, the Homework Club, and Cappuccino High School, San Mateo High School, Bridge Academy. These are all places where new clubs and club coordinators have been implemented to support specifically multilingual learners. Special education support services, our Unified Special Olympics. That was amazing. Every single year I try to go. It's just absolutely inspiring. We have that new course, Unified Physical Education, at Mills, Hillsdale, and Burlingame High Schools. Our intensive literacy support class, this is in its 2nd year, to support ongoing literacy intervention. And it serves 40 general education students at San Mateo, Hillsdale, and Cappuccino. Bay Academy Holiday Boutique, we had it right in here. I think I am wearing one of my bracelets from the day that I bought. And those kids are amazing. The socks and the tie-dye t-shirts and the soaps and the succulents and all the things that they sell. It's pretty amazing. It's super, super encouraging. Student services, our outreach to 9th graders. to welcome them and help them transition, and all the collaboration that we do with our partner districts and schools, meeting with them to help with that transition from 8th grade to 9th grade. Mental health and wellness, tremendous amount of staff training, our TUPE or tobacco use prevention education programs and groups, suicide intervention, prevention and mandated reporting, and a real tremendous increase in effort around attendance, especially with our social workers. We can't move the needle with students if they're not here. We gotta get them here. And we've seen some pretty massive gains between August and November because of these student attendance review teams. And if you remember, the previous director of student services, Don Scatena, he came and presented to the board on this in the fall. Technology support. Whoa, that's too far. Come on back. There we go. Cybersecurity with technology support. I want to thank our tech team today. We had massive power outage throughout the district today, and our tech team working real hard on supporting us through all of that. Improving our Wi-Fi connectivity, laptops, battery backup units, Chromebooks. The team that we have here supporting us each board meeting night. Really, really amazing. There we go. Capital Facilities. I know Charlie's here tonight, and so I want to thank him for coming on board, and Yancey and Linda and all the team from Capital Facilities. We have massive multi-million-dollar projects going on. We'll have a presentation in a few moments about that. The gyms at Burlingame and San Mateo, the baseball fields, the classroom transformation, which I'm really excited about. Mills beautification, district-wide solar, boiler and chiller replacement. You know, that doesn't get much fanfare until it's cold or until it's warm. And then everyone's like, what the heck? Really just happy about all those projects. This is all stuff that can go wrong real quick. So big thanks to our Citizen Oversight Committee for keeping us on track. All the improvements at Hillsdale High School, the HVAC controls at district-wide, switchgear, again, not super flashy, but when it goes down or goes bad, boy, do we hear about it. I heard about it today with power outage. So I'm grateful for our Measure L team, and I'm grateful that these projects, as you'll learn in a little bit, are on time and on budget. Transportation, the electric bus rollout. Thanks for Lihia and Terry for joining us. As you can see in the picture, I love your shirt there. That's vintage now too, because that's old logo. But the electric bus rollout, that Yancey and your whole team, thank you so much. And we hired a new transportation coordinator. There's just so much that goes in to transporting students and keeping them safe. So thank you. Fiscal services. I think we kind of take this for granted in this district. We have strong financial position and strong financial operations. That doesn't just happen. That doesn't happen by accident, or you don't cross your fingers and hope that happens. That is through tremendous oversight and accountability and detail, and we have a really strong team. And then on top of that, we processed over $130 million. That's all detail work. And, no one wants to hear that there's a problem with payroll, right? If there's a problem with payroll, your day is shot. So I just want to thank Yancey, your whole team. We don't have those kinds of problems by and large, and I'm grateful. Student nutrition. I mean, I'm on the phone with a dentist today. We have power outage. How are we going to feed kids? What are we going to feed kids? And boy, when we talk about student nutrition, I always like to say it's like belts and suspenders. Like they know what they're doing. They've got a great team. Our chefs are awesome. The amount of 603,000 meals, 603,000 meals since the beginning of the fall semester. I know this is near and dear to Trustee Chavez's heart. We take it very seriously. Our staff takes it very seriously. For many students, this is where they eat. This is the place they eat. And it's what gets them to come to school often. And so ensuring that food was available today when power was out, that was a priority. I know Yancey spent a lot of time with Dennis on that today. Dennis's team really stepped up and made it work. So yeah, really, really great. Facilities use, this was Charlie's old role. We'll bring the new person in maybe at one of the next board meetings to celebrate them. But excuse me, over $1 million in revenue for rentals. And it's not just about the $1 million in revenue. It's the upkeep of our facility. Well, let me even back up. It's the board vision and working with architects to ensure that we have state-of-the-art facilities, one. And then when we have state-of-the-art facilities, which we do, it's then the upkeep of them because they can fall apart real quick and then no one's renting them out. And then it's the staff to support them so that when people do rent, those rentals go seamlessly and they want to come back and rent again. So it's not enough just to have state-of-the-art facilities. It's how we support them in this district and how those support personnel take their roles so seriously. I remember just anecdotally doing the Welcome Back event and working with Charlie's team at the time. Charlie was heading that at the time. How professional they were, how they had all the details worked out. We practiced it, the little like Janet Jackson microphone that I had, and you know, all that stuff. I mean, it was just, they were professional, on the spot, and that's what makes people want to come back and continue to rent our facilities. And we have big name speakers that come, big name, because our facilities are so good. So such thanks to them. Operations across the district. These are unsung heroes, getting our sites ready and making sure everything is working and fields are maintained and all the contracting services are done and just the list goes on and on. And sometimes because it's so seamless, we don't even notice it until there's a problem. But everything they do every day, just amazing. Maintenance, same thing. Our maintenance team and how they are like everywhere all the time. They are professional, they're courteous, they get the job done right. I love how meticulous they are. And there's just so much improvements that have gone on across the district. And I'm not even talking about Measure L. I'm just talking about the day-to-day. And how much money that saves us, by the way, that we don't have to contract out so much, that we have internal people here to do this work. And the pride that they take in doing this work is amazing. And you can see it across the district. And that is it. So that's just the first semester. Please take a look at the memo because there's so much more to what we do here. I say this all the time. I said it during the new board orientation. Working here is like being in the show. It is the major leagues, and I'm proud of this district. I'm proud to lead this district. I'm thankful for this district, and I'm thankful for what our educators, led by our board, does in support of students every day. So thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, does the board have any questions, comments? Student board members wish to weigh in?
I would just like to say thank you for all the comments and updates for all of the sites, and I appreciated seeing some of the initiatives hosted at all of our high schools, especially the Peace Pantry at Aragon High. I know that one of the student board council members assisted in co-founding and leading this, so it's really amazing to see that we're all making and having a part within our community, truly what we've been trying to support, especially on MLK Day.
Any board comments? Anyone online that wishes to comment?
There's not.
Okay, well, thank you for the report. The report was almost as long as the first semester itself.
Sorry.
Can I make a quick comment?
Please.
I want to say thank you for the very comprehensive report. You touched upon every nook and cranny of the district. I think that's very important because folks watching and including staff are going to look out, hey, our area wasn't missed. What are our highlights? And you highlighted every group, I believe, from what I can see here. And I think that's great. So thank you for the awesome presentation.
Okay, we're going to move on to R construction. Superintendent Booker.
Yeah, I'm going to hand this one off to Yancey Hawkins and Charlie Royce.
Thank you so much. As we pull up the presentation tonight, I just want to reiterate some of the things that Superintendent Booker noted around the capital facilities program. We're incredibly lucky in so many ways in this program. First and foremost, to the voters and the citizens who voted for Measure L and the three preceding bond measures, which have really put our district in great shape. I mean, the projects we're doing are amazing now, but it only stands on the shoulders of great work that was done in the past and the great maintenance that was done to do that. You guys all know Charlie Royce, our Director of Facilities and Construction. And so he'll go through mostly focusing on our Measure L projects tonight. But as the board knows, we have several other construction projects outside of Measure L. So we'll hit on some of the highlights of those. And then unfortunately, you have to end with me on the financial update. But good news, spoiler alert, it's in really good shape. So Charlie, I'll hand it off to you.
Yeah, thank you, Yancy. Good evening, trustees, Superintendent Booker, student board, cabinet members. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share with you. Yancy went over the budget, I'm sorry, the agenda, so won't go over that again. We'll go right on to recently completed projects. So as Superintendent Booker said, this is one of those projects that's not very flashy. The replacement of the chiller and boiler in the A building at San Mateo High School was completed last August. It includes removing and installing a new unit on the roof and equipment in the boiler room. And as we all know, heating, cooling, and ventilation is an important part of school. Next, the Mills Transite Phase 2. Phase 1 saw the transformation of the school's courtyard and exterior with a new look, which if you haven't had a chance to see it, but I bet you have, it looks great. Phase 2 continues the transformation with the addition of a sail shade structure, landscaping, and a walking path that adds a stunning presentation to the front of the school. The project was just completed at the start of the new year. So the new gym at San Mateo is built on the space that previously housed the tennis courts. That meant new tennis courts. And that was the opportunity to add lights. The 7 courts, 2 with lights, were completed in August, and it has received many compliments from students, coaches, and the community. Aragon Baseball and Flex Field. The Aragon Baseball and Flex Field sits comfortably in the pine-lined southeast corner of the school. Stepping in the batter's box on the turf field, you're presented with a batter's view of the blue sky, as you can see here in the photo. It opened in September and is also lined for girls flag football. Burlingame music classroom renovation. Music teacher Kyoko Yamamoto was pleased to receive a renovated music classroom in August. It featured new carpet, acoustic panels, acoustic curtains, and instrument lockers. The Panther Choir and band are singing the praises of this reinvigorated music room. All right, projects under construction. Staying at BHS, the main and practice gym replacement is progressing nicely. This is a 2-story gym. It features a full-size gym with locker rooms, weight rooms, and coach's office on the first floor, and a practice gym and wrestling room on the second floor. This is what it'll look like when it's completed at the end of the summer. It seems like it was just yesterday that this project started, but I'm not the one who's without a gym. All right, San Mateo High School's new gym is also progressing nicely. This picture is from the front entrance taken a few weeks ago. If you look at it today, the scaffolding is removed and the exterior tiles installed. It's starting to look like a gym from the outside. And this is what it'll look like in May when it's expected to be completed. By the way, power to the gym was energized last week. So if you go walk by at night, you can actually see inside the gym and it looks like a gym. All right, another not so flashy project, the new fire alarm system. When activated, it speaks the alarm instead of the ear-piercing horn that I'm sure you've heard before. In a loud, commanding voice, it tells you that there's a fire emergency reported and to evacuate the building immediately. It also has strobe lights that flash brightly. Mills High School was completed just before the winter break. Burlingame and San Mateo would be completed shortly, with Cappuccino not far behind. We're planning on completing Aragon and Hillsdale this summer. District-wide solar, we're working hard to increase our solar power generation capabilities throughout the district. Hillsdale High School and the district office are furthest along. This Saturday, there'll be a crane hoisting the solar panels onto the roof of the Performing Arts Center right next door. Those panels will be installed across the entire main roof of the PAC. Scheduling power shutdowns are proving to be challenging, so the date for all of it to be done is TBD. All right. Project that we have in design development. So the district-wide classroom transformation, which Superintendent Booker says he's excited about. When you plan a classroom transformation, you need to get feedback from a wide range of stakeholders. Our architects, QKA, have held meetings with a committee of principals, assistant principals, teachers, and district staff. There's also been an additional meeting with the principals to discuss furniture. Today, QKA with our maintenance and operation team had a meeting, what's known as a page turn meeting. We literally went through the 50% done plans page by page. It was a challenge to do with the power outage. We didn't have a power outage, but we got notification that we'd lose internet in 15 minutes and scrambled to find an alternative. We needed it. The first three schools to have their classrooms transformed are Aragon, Burlingame, and Cappuccino. Those schools will be done in the summer of 2026, and Hillsdale, Mills, and San Mateo will be done in the summer of 2027. I'd like to showcase some non-Measure L projects. As you saw in the previous presentation, there are too many non-Measure L projects that are recently completed or in progress or in development to go over tonight anymore. Take a look at the presentation that previously. So I'm just going to showcase a couple. Mills High School volleyball turf was returfed. And it's, as you can see, it's uniquely Mills. I think it's the only turfed volleyball court we have. And then San Mateo High School, I'm sorry, that was finished in August. And also in August, San Mateo saw their stadium field turf redone. And I think it looks stunning, especially when it's lit up at night. And it also has lines for girls flag football. And now I get to hand it over to Yancey.
I knew that Charlie would note that the San Mateo fields look beautiful, given that his three wonderful daughters are graduates of San Mateo High School. But in terms of financial overview, this slide shows three columns. The first is the board-approved budget from December of 2020. So these were the initial budgets. These were before we went in, before we met with detailed information with staff. These were, initial budgets. And then the second column is the current projected cost of all of those. So if you kind of look the total for all the projects in construction so far, 344 million. The total current projected cost, 341 million. So a little bit to the good of 3.34 million. That's positive. Given how far we are into this, in this measure, it's incredibly positive. What you don't see here are the contingencies. We have not gone into the program contingency at all so far. And that is very unique for a bond program. I really give credit to the board for pushing us ahead, which saved the district significant escalation costs and has really allowed us to move forward. We'll continue to bring updates to the board, and we are happy to answer any questions that the board may have tonight.
Does the board have, thank you for the presentation. Does the board have any questions or comments as student board reps? Okay. Anybody? One quick question, Yancey. Those contingencies that we
Yes.
haven't touched. We have project contingencies, and I bet you we've touched them. We don't have topside contingencies. How's
Yeah,
that?
we have not, we have not gone into the top side contingency of overall program contingency. We go into the project contingency on almost every project. So for the most part, our schematic design budgets include a 10% design contingency. That includes, different changes that may be made during the design project by our educators or our architects, but it also, a major part of that is our friends at the state level with the Division of State Architect, who have their ideas in terms of what changes may need to be made around structural, fire life safety type improvements. Also, we also have a contingency for change orders on our leaseback projects. We usually keep those between 5 and 7.5%. And then on our design bid build projects, we keep that at the state 10% requirement. So we've definitely gone into those, absolutely, Trustee Griffin. But overall, we feel really, really, really strong about where we are in that. And one thing to note is while there are a couple of projects that have been approved by the board in 2020, that's only a few $1 million of additional projects. This is, with the exception of, I believe it's 3 or 4 smaller projects. This is the entirety of the list. As you can note, we're at about $345 million. As we get into those other projects, you say ballpark adding, no more than $15 million. That leaves potential, for some what we call below the line projects potentially to be funded, which is just really a blessing on that one. I will say that our largest project is the district-wide transformation and bandwidth improvement project. And so, I won't make any recommendations on those quote unquote below the line projects until we're probably into 2026 or 2027. But we are tracking towards that right now. So.
Question. Trustee Thomas. The transite panels, we have a problem in that we have big surpluses and something very good looks like it happened at Hillsdale and Mills. And then Aragon, it wasn't the deficit or the overrun wasn't as big. What happened?
That was the overall project budgets were done. Those were done very early in the process. And so there were estimates made of how much of the transite would have to be encapsulated. And so at Hillsdale, like for example, transite was on both sides, both interior in classrooms and exterior in classrooms. And so there were some assumptions made because there was not a detailed review going into just the bond project. It was assumed, given the square footage of the school, given X percentage that was, going to need to be encapsulated at a couple of the sites, and then on the opposite on Aragon, there was more needed, including some of that interior space. I apologized. I flipped my wording on that earlier. So, you see positives, you see negatives on that list. A lot of that is due to the time in which they were made. I think how we always ask to actually to be judged is when we bring the schematic design budget to this board, because that's when we believe that we have enough information in terms to make a very quality estimate on the cost. But overall, we like to bring this when we discuss the entirety of the bond program, because this tells us where we are overall in the bond project. But project by project, we like to look at the schematic design budget. And on most projects, all but a couple, we've come in under our schematic design budget. But as we came in the fall on the due to some DSA changes, the district-wide fire alarm project actually, we believe, will be a little bit above that schematic design.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Trustee Chavez.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment, Charlie did a great job on the presentation. And I love seeing the progress. And I just want to let everybody know I wasn't surprised by the progress, as I'm part of I attend the meetings with the bond oversight committee. And sometimes we take field trips and we visit, a few school sites at a time. And I get to see the progress right up front with other folks on the committee. But I just want to say thank you. This is great information to see the progress. And it really looks like it's coming along great, all the projects. So thank you for staying on top of it. Thank you, Yancy.
Thank you.
Yeah. One last thing. I just want to say thanks to our educators and our students. Anyone who's done even a small project at their house understands that being under construction has impacts. It can be tough. And our administrators, our educators, our students have been rock stars through this process. They've been without, they've gone through, and they've really understood the benefit that was coming, and we really appreciate that. So thank you.
Are there any public comment?
There's none.
Okay. Okay, that item is for information only. We'll move on to R2.
Yeah, go for it.
Hawkins, you're back.
Thank you. R2 is a request for an RFP for architectural services for the Bridge Academy project. In terms of timetable, our goal is to bring a schematic design of this project back by the end of June of this year to the board. We've already worked with Principal Showman to she will be part of the process, if approved tonight, to interview the architects, and we would hope to bring back selection at one of the March meetings. I'm happy to answer questions.
Are there any questions? Okay, a qualifier, you're putting the solicitation toward out to our pool.
Correct. This is only to the pool of board-approved Measure L architects. Thank you for that clarification. That's important.
Fair.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll move to approve the request for proposals.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments, discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Student board members?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Item passes unanimously. Yeah, catch up. R3, approval of the Bridge Academy location, Poplar Avenue.
Yes. At our November board meeting, the board saw different potential options, including the benefits and potential negatives of all of the location options. Staff, which met with the Bridge Academy staff, as well as the adult school staff and the administrative staff at San Mateo High School, we're all in agreement with staff's recommendation of the Poplar location. Primary reasons are around this is where the students who attend Bridge Academy, they live around San Mateo High School, in and around San Mateo High School, and also the negatives in terms of impacts it had the least negatives in terms of the impacts to the school location. So we're happy to answer any questions, but we're asking for approval tonight of the location on Poplar Avenue as seen in the attachment to the board.
Does the board wish to discuss this item? Any questions?
If there are no questions or discussion, I move to approve the location of the Bridge Academy.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Now, one thing I want, people watching may not realize that this item has been in discussion and it's been presented many times. So this is not we've been looking for feedback. We've walked the sites, we've consulted, we've done everything we can to put it out to the public. And so, I mean, it's an important decision because once we go down this path, that building's got to be there, it's got to last, it's got to fit into the architecture. So,
And staff mentioned that they like this location. That's important too.
so,
Yeah.
okay, we've got the motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Student board members?
Aye.
Okay. Well,
Thank
thank you.
you.
That item passes unanimously. And is there any?
There were none.
Okay, thank you. Division of Human Resources Personnel Consent Agenda.
Personnel consent, we had the personnel actions, MOU with the CSEA, 3 MOUs actually, and then the new dean performance standards for your information.
I guess, is there any discussion, any comments, anything, or is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second that motion. Thank
Okay,
you.
we have a motion and a second. With no discussion, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye, sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, that item passes, and we'll move on to Division of Human Resources.
The first item is the personnel actions addendum, and there are 2 recognition. One is Paula Ackerman. After 40 years as an adult school teacher, she retired January 1st, 2025. And the second recognition is Carl Vanelli. He's an electrician foreman in the district and has been with us for 22 years, 8 months, and will retire March 20th, 2025. Personal actions addendum need approval.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move to approve is this the approval of said letters? Is that right?
The addendum.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, the personal actions addendum.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, are there any questions or any discussion?
There were none.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Item 2.
Item 2 is the summer school principal job description up for approval. This, the summer school principal position used to be or has been in the Peninsula High School principal position. It's been embedded. As you know, this semester or this year, the principal of Peninsula High School is also the principal of Middle College. So therefore, as a trade, we took out the summer school principal. And now we needed to recruit for it. And this, we had to create its own separate job description. And this is the job description for approval.
I will move to approve the district summer school principal job description if there is no discussion or questions.
I'll second that.
Okay, any comments online or in person?
There are none.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's item 2. Item 3, approval of clinical services supervisor job description.
Yes, the clinical service supervisor has a bit of a history. It used to be called the student support coordinator. And one of its main functions is to supervise our associate mental health therapists, which are the therapists that haven't yet passed their tests and they're still building up their 3,000 hours. When COVID hit, we went virtual, and we came to an agreement with the AFSCME unit that we could put this position outside of the unit for a while so we could do it virtually with a supervisor that lived outside of the area. As you know, our department is big. Our mental health and wellness department is big. We have many associate mental health therapists and interns, and they all need supervision. So we've worked with the union to create a job description that's more accurate in terms of what a clinical supervisor does, and that's this job description. We did a salary comparison for placement on the salary schedule. It's at range 6 on the ASME salary schedule. That's also attached. So we recommend approval of this position. Right now, we foresee one person in this position going at least initially.
Is there
Yep.
any questions, comments, discussion?
If there's none, I can move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. I do have one question. I don't want to interrupt the flow. Is this a budgeted position that's already incorporated in the budget?
Yes, it is. In terms of it's swapping one amount for the other. So we will no longer have the contracted employee that there is, and so that money will be moved over. So we'll have to do a budget transfer, but it won't be additional funds, at least as initially expected.
Oh, you guys you're bang on tonight, boy. You're just hitting the marks. I like to hear. Thank you. I mean, because we can't lose sight. I don't want the board to lose sight of position control
Right.
and our budget concerns. So that just gives us some reassurance. Okay, we've got the motion and the second. Any online comments?
There are none.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item passes unanimously. And let me get to approval of the 24-25 tentative agreement with the district and adult school Federation of Teachers 4681.
Yes, in December before the break, we came to an agreement with the Adult School Federation of Teachers. I think you heard that tonight from the representative. We already brought the AB 1200 for this when we passed it in this fall with all the other 3 units, so that's been approved. And some of the, there wasn't that much open this year, but we did acknowledge the teachers with master degrees that they'll get a stipend, and we raised the workshop rate, and they received the same 4% salary increase as the other units. So we recommend approval of the agreement.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
I'll second.
Okay. Trustee Chavez with the motion and trustee Andrade Zuniga with the second. Any online comments or?
There are none.
Okay, we've got the motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item 5, approval of the revised 24-25 salary schedule for adult school.
And the miscellaneous salary schedule, both of those schedules have to do with the agreement that you just approved. The adult school has most of their positions on their salary schedule, but there's some on the miscellaneous salary schedule, and they all received a 4% increase. And those are the revisions that we recommend for approval.
Okay, any discussion? Any comments?
None.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the revised 24-25 salary schedule.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes unanimously. We'll go to student services. Nothing there. Am I correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, and then instructional services.
No,
Okay. Business services,
not tonight.
board operations. Like playing the piano. It's like playing, it's actually like the guitar. And I haven't mastered doing sheet turning and clicking at the same time. So
Aw.
I'm working on it, folks.
It's okay.
Okay, so then graduation dates. Establish graduation dates and time, May and June. Everybody had an opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm assigned to be at two places at the same time on the same day, so we'll just have to work
That's an
through those.
honor. Didn't they tell you that was an honor? That's what they told me when they did it to me.
Yeah, you have a 30-minute window to finish up and get. to-
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
Start time. 30 minutes after.
So, maybe we can,
Well,
well, I'm sure we can find a solution. Um,
I can't help you there because I have two as well. Both mine are both on the same day, but they're not at the same time. So
could we table this until
can-
we get trustee Land
Yeah.
to weigh in?
actually, I was gonna suggest, why don't we take action and change everything around and let trustee Land pick up the, he's not here to
Pick up the
represent
slack.
himself.
Well,
I think what we're most interested in is the dates.
Yeah.
Oh, the graduation
That's the
dates.
date.
That's what
Who you decide to participate
Which-
with, we can deal with that
Yeah,
later.
that's true.
Yeah, we will horse trade on that.
Okay. I don't have an issue with the dates.
Yeah, looks good.
Mhm.
I'll move to approve the dates that are recommended for
Mhm.
graduation.
And I'll second that, just knowing that if somebody's switched with somebody else, they will.
Yeah.
We've always found a way to make it
Yep.
work. So, okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any online discussion, or comments? Okay, all in favor? Aye. See. Okay, item 2, move the March 13th board meeting to Wednesday, March 12th.
Yeah, this is due to open house occurring on March 13th. And I know that trustees like to go to open house. So we're recommending that we move the
Mhm.
one day back to the 12th, the board meeting.
Okay.
Okay,
You okay with that, trustee Chavez?
Of course I am.
Well, you don't like Wednesdays. And-
Thanks. I'll make sure I leave work early. For those that are
Okay.
listening, on Wednesdays, I work in person across the bay. But I'll make it work like I did earlier this year. I left work early.
Okay.
Get across that Bay Bridge.
Does that require action?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
I
it
moved
does.
to approve the new dates.
you.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
okay, we got a motion and a second. Any comments, any discussion, any online?
The only comment I want to make is open house at all of our school sites are really important. So I'm glad that we're moving our board date so that we can, oh, okay. I'm just saying
Okay,
it's important. Yeah. Thank you.
we've got the motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I guarantee you trustee Land's gonna have something to say.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, are we at the end of,
Yeah, future board.
future board agenda items?
So I tried to list, oh, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it's great. I'd like to agendize our board evaluation and retreat for discussion at a later date. It doesn't have to be a long conversation, just so we're all on the same page.
Should we put that on? Is that a closed session thing? I think you mentioned we could put it on closed session next time, or is that?
No, board evaluation
Yeah,
and
it's to be
retreat in the
public.
sense of how to develop it, that would be
The
in public.
process.
Public,
The
yeah.
process would be in public.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then I know from earlier tonight, we're gonna do some kind of either math study session or agendized during a regular meeting. I'll add that.
Is the board evaluation and retreat, is that what is listed here as spring 2025 board governance handbook and self-evaluation? Or is this different?
I
It's,
think, well, the handbook will be different.
the handbook is
Yeah.
different, the self-evaluation.
Yeah,
is
that's okay.
Yeah.
the same.
Okay.
Obviously, the list here is not inclusive of everything that we'll be doing
No.
the next semester. I just tried to highlight some of the bigger topics.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'd like to add an item, and I don't know, I mean, I want to understand it. It's not, I want to talk about professional development and how we structure and how we consider and build our professional development days.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, anything else?
Um, As mentioned earlier in closed session, we talked about talking about maybe closed session next time, how we're going to do the survey. Can we build that into our,
So it's just under superintendent evaluation, closed
Mhm.
session.
right, okay. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that we wanted some time for that.
Yep, I have it in my notes.
Okay.
Anything else?
Thank you for asking.
Okay, well, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.